The wonderful people at Hope came to us and provided their brand guidelines. Everything was in place, wasn't it? But I mean, what was your perspective of that?
Like you say, we have a lot of clients that come to us and they don't really know what the problem is, but they know that there needs to be some sort of improvement to expand their market and attract new business. Well, I think one thing that I identified for them is that people didn't really know exactly who they are.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of confusion as to the interpretation of the charity itself and its unique selling point. Like this is the only charity that have mobile cancer care units, which is like such a diverse offering for them. And I went from kind of understanding who they were, but to have a real deep emotional connection about their purpose and the difference they make for people.
Talking to Tina, it became very clear that her passion, and everyone on the team at Hope for Tomorrow are really passionate about trying to get that message across, needing a bit of a helping hand in order to communicate their attributes. The mobile cancer care unit, and that was something that was added into the branding.
Yeah, absolutely. We looked at their brand assets in the brand guidelines, and I think something that was evident was they had the logo, they had the typical things of the fonts, a basic hierarchy in the colors, but they were lacking a device which showed their unique selling point. And we actually saw in documentation a tiny little illustration of a truck. It could have been any truck, had it not had the little circle that is obviously part of the identifier for Hope. That was obviously really important to bring up the identity of that and have that embedded as part of the brand assets, which you'll now see on covers of documentation and in the bottom footer on every single page of their material that we've delivered for them. You have the unit there. And so that was really important, alongside interpreting the Hope Circle, which we obviously saw to them was an integral part, and we adapted that into brand assets. I think one of my favorite moments of working on the project was that time where you sat down with me and we had a look at the shapes of it, and you came up with the idea of the medal out of nowhere, plucked it out of thin air, which was quite brilliant.
Well, I mean, that then went on to being other items as well. You then looked at the pinpoint around the country.
Yeah, well, of course, we had the star and the love heart, which we were then able to assign. And I think one of the massive parts of the project was having their different key areas of their key demographics.
Yeah.
And so we had the NHS and the private sector and the healthcare sector, and then we had the trustees and investors, and then we had the public sector. And we then were able to assign these devices which had personal relations to them, and we were able to take the colors and say, adapt your palette, and we expanded their palette, user-friendly for the different audiences, and say, use these dark colors for the more corporate documentation, and then for the fundraising material, which is a lot more vibrant and exciting, use that, and use the love heart to celebrate a patient, use the star to show somebody who has gone above and beyond with the fundraising. So it was just bringing in a more of an energy to it, because we felt the energy when we sat down with the ladies and we had the conversation. You feel the passion about the brand, but the brand identity didn't reflect the same passion that they had.
I think it's really interesting you touched on that. We absorb that passion and we absorb that feeling that they have towards their own brands, and we get so much inspiration from that then we're able to channel into their material. And I think it's evident now, seeing it on their profile pages, on their activation online, how much it's looking more vibrant, it's creating a lot more attention, the metrics are increasing. I think that sums us up really. What has been the favourite part about working on Hope for Tomorrow, do you think? Apart from the fact that you and Tina love Arsenal. I get that.
Yeah, no, every time we speak, there's always a little point in the call where we have to kind of have our little quick Arsenal chat, our update. I always enjoy the creative process. But do you know something that is probably the highlight for me from this project? Quite often we do designs and we roll them out for them. We delivered to them the templates and the assets to use on their social media. The most satisfying element for me and the most enjoyable element is watching them and their designers and the people who work for Hope create material using that and following the guidelines that we've delivered to them, and seeing that out there in the world, that they have taken what we have guided them and they are delivering that and communicating that. And to me, that is something, when you do a brand guidelines, is a really rewarding moment, is to show that the effort you've put into kind of sculpting a direction, they're able to understand and then channel themselves into their own creativity. So that's probably the highlight for me.
I think you're right, because I think that guidelines is a Bible, and the guidelines is only as good as the people who are following it. And a lot of work went into that guidelines and the material that was provided. That's where growth starts to happen for brands, is when they're able to utilize what we've done for them in the way that we've asked them to deliver it. Then you're able to see significant changes in branding. And that's been really good. For me, biggest reward I always find with all of this work is actually working with you and everyone else on the team. Being involved in that creative process right from the beginning. It's a bit like fireworks going off on New Year's Day on the London Eye. It just starts to ignite different ideas, different directions of what if we did this? Why don't we do that? It's just a great, that energy. I don't know about you, I just don't ever want it to stop when I'm in that moment.
It's rare air is what I describe it as. It's an environment, it's a rare air that you feel like, oh no, everything feels different when you're in that creative moment and you're sculpting and those ideas are coming back and forth, and the way you feel everything come together and see the potential of a project, I think that is the golden moment, really, isn't it? Yeah, so I couldn't agree more with that as well.
Yeah.